Okay, so I'm on the TICA.org website. I went to either from the front page, click on the show calendar, or under clubs, click on the show calendar, and this is what it pulls up. You have to be logged in to be able to add. So how do I know I'm logged in? Because I see the log out option here at the top. And then when you want to add a show, you just click add a show right here. Now, you're only going to be able to add shows for clubs that you are listed as show management on, whether that's as an entry clerk or show management or whatnot. So these are the clubs that I'm listed with. So let's say I want to click Cat's Rule, and I'll walk through and add a show. Put all the details in, whatever you'd like to add, link to the website or the flyer on the website, currency, the address, add your judges by rings, all that good stuff. You can even, where'd it go? You can even request the show license once you start adding, oops. I haven't added dates. Let me just actually do a date. Once you actually have the rings in so that it knows how many, I'm just going to make up a fake date because I'm not going to publish this. So let's actually walk through. So I picked the club that I'm listed in tows with. You'll need to submit a support ticket. My TICA, create a ticket. If you are not able to add a show for a club that you're part of, or whomever has the club, is currently listed. Like for me, I'm with Cat's Rule. I could submit a ticket and say, hey, please add Joe Smith so that he can edit and do shows. So I picked the dates, picked the club. We're using tows for accepting entries. If you're with a club that is just simply wanting to list on the calendar, you would not click that. You would just be listing it on the calendar. I want to use the app for the smartphones. You don't have to actually use it, do anything with it, other than it allows people to see counts. And again, if you want that option, I always click it. Don't necessarily use it, but I click it. It's not a regional, it's not an annual. Your format, alternative would be such as like AM PM format that have a 125 max. You can see if I select that, even though it's not showing it completely, 125 is the default. Continuous, that's what the annual is, where it runs over 2 days, but you have all judges judging both days. So for instance, at the annual this year, there's 14 rings. All 14 rings will be running with the same judges both days. Cats will be judged in 7 each day. And then back-to-back is traditionally what the Saturday, Sunday shows are. My show motto, Feline Groovy. I can play here in the comments box with formatting. This is where I'm going to list a bunch of stuff about my show. I like to use HTML coding. I do that from another website, such as this website here, where over here it's like a Microsoft Word document. You can add images, you can add videos, you can make everything really cute, and whatever you do on the left, if you check it out, bold, I can change the color. On the right here, it's generating code, and so I would copy that code, come back over here, tools to source code, and I would paste that. And in purple there is what I just did. That's the way I do the formatting and design all the cute stuff that I do on the show calendar. Don't have to make it fancy at all. You don't have to do any of this, but you do need to have the basic, show details. You can have show hours, you can have prices, all sorts of stuff on here, or you can just refer them to your club website and flyer. I like to show the cat count on the calendar so exhibitors can see what the counts are. You can use an automatic wait listing if your show fills. You choose if you want to allow exhibitors to cancel their entries on their own. I don't recommend this. And if you're doing a bring your own cage show, you want to select that. What that'll do is it will notify the exhibitors when they enter that this is a bring your own cage show, and it will not give them the option when they enter when it asks the question, do you have your own cages, yes or no, it will show that question, but it'll say this is a bring your own cage show, and it won't allow them to select the no option. Show flyer, again, if you click the little I here, this is where you need to link to your show flyer, your club website. It has to be a link. You cannot upload a document directly here, but you can send them to a document on, for instance, the club website. And then down here, this is what they get after they enter. So I type in, thank you for entering. I typically copy and paste a lot of the information from the show comments, such as hours, payment information, send them to a summary sheet here if needed. And again, you can do coding back on another website, or just type in, do some basic formatting here with the tools that are available. Down here, you have to pick currency. So I'm in the United States, US dollars. And then down here, search for your address. So you can type in a hall, or excuse me, a hall. You can type in a location. You can type in you search for an address. You can type in a name and fill this in yourself, whatever you'd like. If I type in my own home address, I can search, click, and it will fill in. Okay. Oops, so those are options there. And then down here is when you start adding rings. So let's say I'm going to have, 5 rings on Saturday. By default, whoops, it didn't select that. By default, it typically selects the first day, and then you select if you want to do all breed or congresses or specialty or whatever it is. If you're doing congresses, there's some additional fields you need to fill in. So I'm going to generically fill some stuff in here. Oops. Let me do a congress and show you how that works. So down here, let's say I'm going to do a female champion congress. Type in what the name, whatever I'm going to call it. You can be really cute and creative or real basic and boring like I just did. That's usually what I do. And then you click on the paper and pencil and you select what kind of congress it is. So I want this to be a long hair cat and a short hair cat. So champions. So they have to be in the long hair or short hair class. Breed, if you want to be breed specific, you can. I don't want to be here, so I'm going to leave that off. And then gender, I'm going to select the box and select female and take the arrow. Everything else, it's open to everybody else. So depending on your congress, you'll modify this area to what you need. So only in the championship class and only females are eligible. And then you come down here and click save. And what will happen is if an exhibitor enters with an eligible cat, it will ask them if they want to enter the congress. It will not automatically add them, only if they're eligible. Okay, and then I go back in and I put my judges. And typically we do seniority. So I look up on the TICA.org website the dates of when they were accepted into the judging program, and I list them by the date, so that the most senior judge is in ring 1. And the most junior the most junior judge is in ring 5. If you have ring clerks, this is where, if the clerk wants to use the TICA app for instance, calling cats to rings, sending reminders, you can put their name here. I'll go ahead and just put my name as a ring clerk. I have to look myself up. And that would then give them access. You want to add rings, more rings, you just keep clicking on that. Now I want to go to Sunday and do the same thing. Just be careful, again, the default will be the first day most often, so check your dates, check everything real well before you submit. I want to print division titles, which would mean on the judge's book it would say this is the traditional tabby and white division, and then it would list all the cats in that breed, in that division. I typically add blank lines after the best of breed or best of division. That helps the judges in case there's a transfer. It gives them a little bit of space. If you want to give them even more space, which means more pages in your judge's book, you can also add a blank line after every color class. So after all the brown spotted tabby, let's say Bengals, there would be a blank line in case, again, they need to do a transfer. This is probably the most kind thing we can do for our judges. However, if you think about all the different colors of all the different breeds of cats, it's a lot, and it does add quite a bit in terms of the length of the judge's book, which means more paper. So I typically only do the only do the blank after the best of breed, best of division. That's just me. You can do either, you can do none. Obviously, that's why they're options. At the very least, I would say give the judges what the divisions are, and then the other two are optional. Okay, down here, this would be for catalogs for exhibitors. We don't typically print in color here, but I like to bold the cat names. I just leave everything else as the default. Automatic here for orientation. That means toes will figure out, based on how many rings you have, if it's going to be landscape or portrait. Portrait is up and down, like a picture of someone. Landscape is horizontal. It's wider than it is tall. Typically landscape is done when you have, I believe it's like 14 or more rings, might even be more than 14. I leave it at automatic and let toes figure it out. If you have a club that specifies, I don't care how many rings we have, I want it to be one or the other, this is where you would select that. Otherwise, just leave it as automatic. And then down here, if you want to enter a specific email address for the entry clerk, you can do that there. You could do the same thing for show manager, enter an email address, and you don't have to do either one either. Down here, this is where you link, let's say I'm setting this show up, but I am not the entry clerk. And so let's say my friend Angela is going to be my entry clerk. She obviously already has a TOES account. I find that, and I click link as she's going to be the entry clerk. If I know my show manager, or my master clerk, I'm just putting names in here. Master clerk typically has no reason to go into TOES, but if I know the person, I'll put them in there. And then I am show manager. So I link myself there. You really only need to link the entry clerk so that that person has entry clerk permissions and can access the show. But there you go. When you're ready, the only thing it didn't give me the option for was requesting a license. It should ask for, do you want to request a license? And I'm not sure why it's not doing that. It's supposed to be down here where it allows you to request a show license from TICA, and I'm going to have to look into why it doesn't do that right now, because it should, based on the number of rings. Yeah. Okay, I'll look into that, but that's how you set up a show. Thanks.